We're going to talk about real estate because this is a real estate show. So
There we go.
I think we'll talk real estate. So Tracy, on the agenda today, we want to take a deep dive into owner financing or seller financing or real estate contract or
All the same thing.
all the same thing, all the different ways to say that. I want to talk about DOM, other in our world known as days on market, and what is and why that really matters when you're first off how to calculate it as well
Days
as
on market for a home that we have on the market
Correct.
for sale, and how many days it's on the market.
correct.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that, and then I've dug out some really interesting data on homeowners and what the interest rates that people have right now. So we've had this unprecedented increase in interest rates, mortgage rates over the last 6 months. We went from 3.5 to now it got up over 7. Now it's pulled back a little bit, but just where people are locked in right now, and it's actually really good news there, Tracy.
It is.
So,
I think we're going to find a lot of people probably refinanced, right?
yeah.
Also, Tego, a few other things. We always talk about homes of the week and open houses.
Yep.
I really want to jump in right now on one house that came on the
Great.
market this week.
Perfect.
So maybe more than one. Crimson Glory in Primrose Point. Beautiful luxury home. Opened today, Saturday, for the first time. Went available today. Open from 1 to 3 today and tomorrow. It's $1,100,000. One of the most beautiful homes, large lot in Primrose Point, which is a neighborhood up near Paseo and Tramway. Kind of a newer neighborhood, so to speak, probably 15, 20 years old or more.
Yeah.
Time flies. I remember being in that neighborhood when there was just lots of lots. So,
Right.
But it had different phases and built out. But this house is really spectacular. And some of the things that our listeners are going to want to know about it, it's a single story, 4,100 square feet. 5-bedroom, 2 living areas. And one of the bedrooms is actually a attached casita with its own entrance. So it's really nice. The lot is really big, 0.44, so almost half an acre. There is not a pool, but there is room for a pool. Just beautiful single-story house. So if that's something that's of interest, I would run to see it because it's one of those that we expect a lot of people will be interested in. Based on the phone calls this week while we've been in Coming Soon, I expect we're going to be quite busy showing that property.
It's interesting. I want to just point out on that. I follow a bunch of real estate news, and there's been a few stories out there about multi-generational housing. And like, what is multi-generational housing? And that's where you have, either parents and kids living together, either in the kid's house or in the parents' house, and you have this multi-generational situation with adults, and it's become much more common now where people are cohabitating together. And this is a perfect type of property where you have a separate, what they call in-law suite for just for that purpose.
Right. And a lot of times we're also seeing, Tego, like siblings moving in together, not just the multi-generational, but there's lots of reasons why people might need this floor plan. It might even be a teenager that you just want to have their own space or whatever. But it's just a really great property. 12092 Crimson Glory Northeast, if you want to Google it and take a look and see if it's something that you might want to call us to schedule a private tour of that home for you and your family.
Yeah, there are a few new homes on the market this week. The number of homes overall in the Albuquerque area started to pull back finally. It's pretty common this time of year. This week we've seen less homes come on the market as go off the market. So we're starting to trend down, and that's more than likely going to continue all the way through till the end of the year, and then we'll probably reset starting at the beginning of January and see some people put more homes on the market. Of course, there's always homes coming on the market and always homes going off the market too.
Right. And there's another one we put on the market.
Great. Let's talk about it.
Just freshly on the market, 2700 Vista Grande.
Yep.
It's a townhome.
Townhome?
Right. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's a split level floor plan. So you enter on the main level where the kitchen dining are, and then about 3 or 5 steps down to the living area with just beautiful mountain views. It's overlooking the bluff and close to I-40 and Coors.
Yeah.
On
Yes.
the west side of the river, overlooking the river valley and the bluff there and the city. And that one's $315,000, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, just completely updated.
Yep. Very
So-
much completely upgraded. Brand new kitchen, brand new appliances in the kitchen. The bathrooms have been updated not that long ago. They're not perfectly, brand new. New laminate flooring, and so anyway, it's going to be a good opportunity for somebody, and that one is on Vista Grande, 2700 Vista Grande.
So that
And-
is a gated neighborhood, though.
Correct.
So best to call us and schedule a time. We don't have an open house scheduled for that particular property just because of the logistics of the gate. It's a little trickier.
Yep.
So if that's something that works for you, give us a call at that 448-8888.
Okay, let's get into some topics here, Tracy. Real estate contracts.
Sure. What is a real estate contract, Tego?
Yeah, so real estate
gonna-
contract is actually the document, the vehicle for spelling out the terms on a seller financing deal, meaning the owner, the seller sells the property, but instead of just taking the cash out from the property, they take payments, and it could be an interest rate with certain terms, certain amortization schedule. So
Yep. So
yeah.
owner financing is just another tool and a way for a seller to have an opportunity to sell their property, right? So it's just an option. You can put a property out for sale using conventional financing, FHA, VA, cash, but you could also do owner financing. So owner financing arrangements, Tego, like you just mentioned, don't have specific requirements per se like getting a regular loan, right? So we can think of like a lot of things are credit scores, debt to income ratio, underwriting requirements, all these things that when you get a regular loan are taken into consideration. But
Sure.
with owner financing, a lot of times those things aren't in play. There's not a general guideline. Owner financing arrangements can be used for an owner-occupied property, residential, commercial, or even raw land, right?
Very common with raw land, because many times for raw land, especially undeveloped raw land, meaning there's no utilities or anything on the property, you really don't have an option for bank financing on that.
There's some out there now, but it's not necessarily
Yeah.
the best, right?
Yeah.
So borrower and seller can come to agreement regarding the price of the property, the time of the loan, the period of the loan, the down payment, and the terms regarding the agreement. So the terms would be the interest rate, when the note would be due. So it's great, but there's no mortgage insurance on it. Lots of reasons why it can be a good option. So Tego, why do you think somebody would want to consider selling a property and offer owner financing or a real estate contract?
Well, it's actually a very solid long-term investment if you are somebody that doesn't need to have all the cash out from your sale of your property. It's a great investment. So let's say you have a $200,000 property, and you can earn 6, 7, 8, 9% interest on your sale of that property. That's a pretty darn good return on your money.
So for some people, rather than sell the property and have the money and not know where to invest it because they don't need to put it in another home, they might say, well, I can put it in a bank or a CD or something at 0.5% interest, or I could be the financier of this property and get 6, 7, 8, 9% interest, whatever people agree to, right?
It's actually a pretty popular investment for savvy investors that are looking for a place to park some money. They will actually even buy the loan from somebody and just have it as a long-term investment. Very common to buy real estate contracts from somebody that holds it and just take over that basically cash somebody out. I'm confusing
You're
it
way
a little.
way ahead
I
of
know,
me
I
here.
know. Okay.
So
Yeah.
reasons why a buyer might not qualify for regular financing and why they might want owner financing.
Sure.
Lots of reasons, right? So sometimes people think that there's a red flag if somebody can't qualify for regular financing. And there's so many reasons. So one might be they just changed job careers. It's a new job industry and they haven't been there for 2 years, right?
Yep.
So a lot of lenders have some stability on the type of job you're in because they want to make sure that you're going to make it in your new career, right? Sometimes somebody just opened a new business, right? And they don't have the financials yet to show that they can afford it. Sometimes self-employment.
Yeah, well, and one thing is that, credit underwriting, the standards that people must meet to qualify for a mortgage purchase became really, really tight in 2009, let's say. And they've been relatively tight since. So, yeah, the lending standards are very tight. And there's certain situations where people can definitely afford a property, but they can't qualify under the normal terms of financing, right?
Right. So self-employed individuals often have a lot of write-offs or deductions that might make it look like they don't have the money to pay for a house loan, right? So owner financing can be excellent for that. So other things, sometimes people don't have the credit score, and sometimes it's, really close where their credit score is for some reason been hampered. Sometimes it's because they co-signed on a loan and somebody else didn't do their financially responsible thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yep. Also, a lot of times there's borrowers with no credit, whether they're young or somebody who just has always believed in paying cash for everything.
Yep.
If you don't have credit, that can also keep you from getting a regular loan.
Yeah. So there's a lot of advantages on the homeowner seller side, and there's plenty of advantages on the buyer side. Right now in Albuquerque, as we sit here today, there are 66 properties that are have real estate contract offered as a financing option.
So the seller is offering to be the finance.
Correct.
Like the bank for that property.
Correct. The thing is, a lot of them are actually manufactured homes, not unusual because a manufactured home many times can't qualify just for a lot of different reasons. We don't need to go into detail on that, but there's a lot of reasons a manufactured home will not qualify for traditional mortgage financing, and so that's a pretty common one that we see.
So we can set up a search of homes for people if they want to buy
Yeah.
using owner financing?
I've actually got it on our website. There's a link on there for homes with seller financing available.
We can set up a search for them that's very narrow, right?
Yeah.
So different neighborhoods and different things. So if something pops up in an area you really are interested in, you get a specific reminder of that.
For sure.
So other advantages, we talked about that maybe you don't need that cash and you might get a higher interest rate on it by selling the property and being the lender. There's also other things. Sometimes people get a higher sales price because they're offering owner financing. Yeah. Sometimes, there's no appraisal unless the buyer requires one, in which case, that can happen. A lot of times, there's a good down payment that gives you some cash now, and then you get monthly payments until you pay off the loan. One of the things that's good to know about owner financing is that all the terms are negotiable between buyer and seller, and the realtors help facilitate that and make the offer and figure out the terms. But a lot of times, people might say, I can do owner financing, but only for 2 years. I can do financing for you, but only for 5 years, 10 years. Typically, they don't go 30 years.
Correct.
It's not a 30-year loan. It's people say, yeah, for a few years while the market shifts this or that, I don't need that money, so I'll do owner financing, but we're going to have a call or a balloon where the full loan is due in 5 years, say. It's all negotiable.
Yep.
But that way you can maybe know how many years down the road before you get paid off. And so some people like to have 10 years because they just want what you call mailbox money.
Right. So mailbox money is a term that's out there where it's, I sold the property and I'm not a landlord, and, I'm not renting it.
I'm not responsible for taking care of it.
I've sold the property. It's in their name, and just collecting payments on that. So that's a good option. So go ahead.
I was going to say that they really do become owners. It's a sale. You are like the bank.
Yeah, for sure.
And the deed and all that. So the one part I want to get in before we finish this topic is we always suggest that you have a third party that's like an escrow company, right? That is the company that's holding everything, that the new buyer pays them, who pays you, just to keep it real clean for both buyers and sellers and
Absolutely,
real safe.
100%. No,
You don't
no,
want
no
to
doubt
do
about
it direct and pay
No,
each
no.
other direct and have to prove that
No.
you were making payments and
No,
things.
no, you don't want to go there. You definitely need an escrow company.
And some of the downfalls of owner financing, if the buyer defaults and stops paying,
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen, right? It's a risk. One of the good things about that is typically to take back the property is easier than going through a foreclosure in New Mexico.
Yeah, so in New
but
Mexico,
you could have to do that.
Yeah, so in New Mexico, it's a judicial foreclosure, which is a long process. On a real estate contract type deal, it's actually a much simpler process. So I mean, we've only talked about this for about 10 minutes here, and there's so much to it. And so if you are, either thinking about buying a property using seller financing or selling a property using seller financing, reach out to us. Be sure you're working with a realtor or professional that really understands all the ins and outs of this, because there's so much to cover. We have a great book that was written by Terry White here in Albuquerque. He's the owner of Sunwest Escrow. Yeah, was. No, he's still involved. He's still involved. Yeah. And it's called, it's just a book about real estate contracts. And we have copies here if anybody's interested to learn about that. But there's a lot of good information out there. And just give us a shout if you want to talk some more about it.
Let's talk about days on market.
Days on market.
DOM.
Dom.
In our system it's DOM, but really it's days on market. And the days on market for homes being listed for sale has shifted a little bit as we've come into fall and interest rates have jumped up. Do you have some statistics on that? My Statomatic?
Yeah, of course I have stats on that.
Yeah.
So, days on market is an interesting gauge for let's say the health of the real estate market overall. As average days on market go up, means that demand has slipped a little bit. As homes sell faster, we know demand is stronger. And what's happened over the last, let's say, few months, days on market have creeped up a little bit because demand has pulled back a little bit because of the higher mortgage rates. The thing is, historically, it's still very low. I think right now we're about 21 days as average days on market for homes that go under contract.
This past March, April, May,
yeah,
we were down to 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
Most homes were selling in under 7 days on market, right?
Yeah, and
so now we're all the way up to 21 days on market. Average.
Yeah, there's.
Depends how you look at it.
It depends how you look at it. It depends if we're talking about median or mean, or median or average, right? So, but anyway, we don't need to go there. But the thing really I want to address here is I think most people that have ever shopped for a home recognize when they're out shopping, they see homes. Oh, it's like that home's been on the market for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. What's wrong with it? It's the first thing that comes to mind. And so that's why, please,
right here?
Of course.
So, speaking of real estate contracts, someone on our team was writing an offer today on a property that's offering owner financing. It's been on the market 102 days. What does that mean to you?
It means that there's a couple things, right? I always go to, why do homes not sell, right? And there's multiple reasons. The most common one, the most obvious one is it's just the price is above what the market.
The price for the condition and location.
Yeah, so it's price, condition, and location. Right. And so if you can't, obviously in most cases can't adjust condition, can't adjust location. Sorry, I said that wrong. And generally you can do something about condition. It just depends if doing the updates makes sense if it needs it. So
today's market, 102 days on market, when the average is about 21.
Yeah, it's 21 right now.
Would make you go, something is not right for that property.
Yeah. So the thing to think about if you are putting your home on the market, you don't want to get those high days on market, because that can be a red flag for buyers. Maybe it's not rational, maybe it's not true, but it can be an issue if you do get ahead of the market on price. Maybe the home isn't ready to be shown, and you start ticking off those days on market. It can affect the sale and actually in the end, ultimately what you do sell the property for.
10 years ago, 5 months on market was not unusual. Today, that would be very unusual.
Well, it's interesting. If we go back to, so right now, October of this year, 2022, 22 days on market is the average days on market. And if we go back to October of 2019, which is, let's say, call that the last normal market, it was more like 30 days, right? 35 days, 40 days. But if we go back to 2018, it was more like 50 days. So, we had just an extraordinary market over the last 2 years where we saw homes, half of the homes selling in 4 days or less. And that's changed, and that's good. That's good for buyers because now they have a little bit more time. They don't have to just, make compromise on what they're buying and not take just whatever is available. And in some ways, it's good for sellers, too. It's not quite as frantic. You're not getting a bunch of offers. The home prices are still holding in steady. And so it's, you just want to be aware of that one.
So let's talk about interest rates. You did some interesting stats and posted on your Twitter, which you have a great following on Twitter, and you're known for your stats. And actually, you were featured this week on a panel with the home builders.
Yep.
Congratulations, as the person giving all the stats for our market, which was awesome. So you did a little post about interest rates and how they break down among our people.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of conversation about, okay, mortgage rates went from 3% to 7%, 7.5% in some cases, and again they pulled back a little bit. But how many homeowners out there right now have really good interest rates on the homes that they own and that they're in right now? And so I did a whole bunch of digging, and I came up with the stats. In New Mexico, 82%, almost 83% of homeowners have a mortgage rate of 5% or less, which is still, let's say 2 points lower than what the going rate is today. Almost 60% of people have a 4% or less, and 19% of people have a 3% mortgage or lower in New Mexico. This is New Mexico stats.
So really interesting numbers, Tego. And, we can make surmise all sorts of things from that.
Yeah.
But really, people still need to buy and sell. People still need to move. And it's a nice stat, but I don't think we want to say, oh, wow, I've got a sub 3, I'm never going to move again. Because we have life changes, right? People have reasons why they still need to buy and sell homes.
Let's all be honest here. Nobody makes decisions purely for financial reasons. I mean, maybe there's some people, and maybe people think they make reasons, all their decisions based on, good financial decisions. I mean, of course, that's part of it. But a home and a home purchase and a home sale has so many other factors around it. It's not just purely the numbers. But yes, somebody that has a 3% mortgage now saying, well, I want to move, or I want to upgrade, or I want to update to another home, or whatever, another part of town, different school district, whatever the reason is you want to move, suddenly giving up that 3% mortgage and having to go for a 6.5% or 7% mortgage, that's going to have an impact on the budget, no doubt about it. So it's an interesting thing to pay attention
historically,
to.
So. Yeah. And rents? Did you have some rent news?
Yeah, rents. I did a short little video on what's happened with rents over the last year in Albuquerque, and I think most people recognize that kind of follow the economy and what's going on, is that rents in Albuquerque and really around the entire country have really grown exponentially since the beginning of the pandemic. Just like home prices for sale homes, rents have also gone up substantially. And just to give you an idea, go ahead.
2-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, just two-bedroom units, just kind of average. So the median rent for a 2-bedroom unit in the greater Albuquerque area is now about $1,300 a month. And that's about 14% higher than a year ago. Historically in Albuquerque, we see 3-4%. Year-over-year appreciation in rents, when you extend it out. So, yeah, I mean, rents have gone up a lot. And, a 3-bedroom now is
1,900 a month.
1,900 a month. That's the median in Albuquerque. So, it's that it's frustrating because we know inflation has hit everybody, and it's hit housing, and it's not just the price of homes, it's not just the mortgage rates, it's also the rent, unfortunately. And the thing is, I mean, we still have a shortage of properties in the Albuquerque area, both for rent and for sale, and so that has been driving up prices. And who knows where this is going to end up, but right now they've gone up a lot in the last year.
So last week we were talking to a rental property manager that has a specific apartment complex.
Yeah.
Actually, that was at Bowling. Were you there for that conversation?
Yes.
So occupancy rates, for a while there wasn't an apartment to be found for rent in Albuquerque. Everything had a waiting list. Sounds like that might be loosening up just a little bit.
Yeah.
They're more at like 95% occupancy now. So that's good. There are at least some apartments apparently available. I know that particular complex was the one right behind Sprouts at Corrales Road and Alameda. Very large complex. But, they come at a price. So we're always like, is there a reason that you're not buying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to pay, if you need a 3-bedroom to pay that much. I mean, $1,900 a month. You think of the property somebody could own for $1,900 a month.
Yeah, no, the thing on rents right now, the data is showing that we may have plateaued a little bit, just like home prices have plateaued.
Right.
We haven't really seen a pullback in either for sale prices or for rent prices, but they do seem to have plateaued, which is actually healthy. We've been just going up so much so fast over the last few years.
It's seasonal too.
Yeah.
I mean, this
absolutely.
is normal right now for us to see that everything level off for the next 2 or 3, 4 months until about March. As soon as we get those warm days in March and grass starts greening up, so we'll heat up the real estate season.
Will see for sure. The big question out there, are mortgage interest rates going to keep going up? Are they going to plateau where they are right now, in the high 6s? Are they going to pull back? And there's, people predicting both, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Some people think it's going to go up. Some people think it's going to go down. Some people that I follow that have been pretty accurate on predicting mortgage rates do expect actually a pullback in the first quarter. But we'll see. It really has to do with whatever happens with inflation. And if they can get inflation under control, mortgage rates will more likely start to pull back as well. But we'll see.
I mentioned that you were on a panel with home builders this week. So it was Pulte, Brazo, D.R. Horton, and Westway Homes.
Yes. Yep.
Really great panel. So if you're interested in new construction, we've got lots of the latest and greatest information on that too.
Yep, still a lot of homes, being built in Albuquerque, which is a good thing. We need them.
And a lot of great incentives from the home builders right now. If you're in the market to buy, Eddie or anybody, it's a great time.